Hey, hey, hey.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
How are you guys
everybody.
tonight?
I am glad this week is over. I'm done with this week. It can
Me too.
go straight to hell.
Me too. I second that.
Yeah,
It's been a doozy. Let's just
yeah,
say that.
it has.
Yes.
Right? All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's just do this. Let's just blow past the bullshit and jump into the fun.
Do it. Bring it.
Do it.
Bring it, sister.
Bring it on. Let's go.
Bring it, girl.
We're dying.
Right, right. Well, first of all, we have to talk about that what we are 6 days out.
Yes.
6 days out from the conference. So if y'all didn't buy your VIP tickets, you're SOL because they're sold out. I do still have 3 or 4 camping spots. That's one of those things that you got to private message me for. And of course, there's still conference tickets, for that event. But yeah, VIP, you're done. You're out. So.
And the links to buy conference tickets, everybody's in the show description. It's going to be, it's Eventbrite. And do you have any spots left for the expedition still?
Yeah, about 3.
Okay.
We probably could squeeze 5 if we had to.
Okay. So if anybody's interested and they want to come and join the expedition, go to the Facebook page. It is also in the link in the show description as well. Mm-hmm. So make sure.
Yep.
Don't be late. Don't be tardy. Don't be
nope.
You got to be
You're
coming because
I will. I'll leave your butts at home.
Yeah, limited space.
Exactly. So let's get started. Right. Let's get down to the nitty gritty because I know you're about to have. I know you're like trying to get into the screen here.
Let's talk some Bigfoot.
Right. Exactly. So last week we went to Northwest Arkansas, and we left. We always leave early. We go down on Wednesday, set up camp, do everything, and this was a private campground. And let me tell you what. It was way back in the woods. It's way back in the woods. And it was really funny as people rolled in that they would pull up to me and go, how did you find this? This is the farthest back anywhere we've ever been. Mm-hmm. And I would just laugh, because I'm thinking the same thing when we pulled in. Local gentleman helped me find this piece of property for us to go to. And it was phenomenal, phenomenal. So we're there Wednesday. We're setting up. We set our camp up, we set our tents up, we set our cook tent up, doing our whole little thing. And the whole time, so there's some cabins on this piece of property too. And you could hear nuts hitting this cabin, right?
Yeah.
And there were times where it was just sounding like this cabin was just absolutely being inundated with acorns, right?
It would sound like that at my folks' A-frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Metal roof.
Yeah, and it had a metal roof. Exactly. And so we were like, okay, that's a lot of acorns. So one of the gentlemen, I believe it was Dennis had gone around and he was walking around the cabin, and he comes back and he goes, okay, so this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm like, all right, what's going on? He's like, so the ground should just be absolutely covered in acorns, right? With what we're hearing. I'm like, well, yeah, isn't it? He goes, no. What?
Weird. What are you hearing then?
And so he shows me what he's finding, and we chunk it on the roof, right? Okay, you can hear it, but it's not quite what we're always hearing. So of course my brain starts. So I'm looking around. So there's a hickory nut tree. Now there's one hickory nut tree. One.
Okay.
And they're smaller than a walnut, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course I chunk that up there. Oh, okay, we've heard that too. But there's other stuff that we're hearing. And it's like, well, what the hell is that? Right? So I pick me a rock up and chunk it up there.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner, winner. Chicken dinner. I'm like, okay. So we're all discussing this. It's like, that's not. And a lot of the times the wind wasn't even blowing, right? This stuff is going on when it's completely still.
Okay.
You don't have that much natural gravity going on all the time. You're not going to have that many. You know, even if you've got surrounded by acorns, it's just tick, 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 you know, occasionally. Now, when the wind blows, stuff like that, yes, you're going to have a lot more. But most of the time down there, the wind was not blowing, right? So,
Weird.
so yeah, we're like,
I'm sorry. I'm going to let you just, I'm going to zip it. I promise.
you know, we're listening. It took us a little while. It took us most of the day for this to dawn on us what's going on, right?
Right.
So we don't go out Wednesday night. We just stay in camp because we're not technically doing anything. It's just a setup. And we go to bed, I don't know, 11 o'clock, something like that. We didn't stay up real late. We've got a tent, and it's right in the tree line, of course, right? I don't know, about 2 a.m. This coyote rolls into camp and lets her rip.
Oh, boy.
It sounded like he was standing in the middle of the campground howling.
Okay.
Which, let me tell you what, that brings
That'll wake you right up.
Oh, yeah. You're
Yes.
laying in your cot. Your eyes are as big as quarters going,
Mhm.
shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, his buddies, it sounded like, were just outside of camp in the tree line answering him. But in the middle there was that one odd call that wasn't with them. It was farther off.
Okay.
It was like, what the hell was that, right?
Interesting.
That little bit happened. Boom, that was it, right? So we get up the next morning and through the night, same thing with the acorns, the hickory nuts, the rocks, whatever, right? We're still getting that. Next day, you know, rest of the people start to roll in, and we're still hearing this. It goes on periodically. It goes on all day. You know, it'll go on in the night, everything else. So Thursday, you know, we have our dinner, we make our plans, we roll out of camp at about 9 o'clock, right? There's always a few individuals that stay in camp. You know, they like to sit and therm the tree lines, that kind of stuff. There was, oh gosh, I don't know, 8 of us that went up to the top of the hill, and there was a power cut for the electrical lines on the very top of the hill, both sides of the road, and also ATV trail, right? So we went in there. As soon as we get out, and I'm standing there, I mean, you can hear something going through the woods. It could have been a deer, it could have been anything. But we thermed around, we're looking. At one point, John's squealing and howling and carrying on top of the hill, you know. Nothing, maybe a response, I don't know, you know. Levi's running around with his headsets on and doing the Levi thing. And then we get in the middle of the road and decide we're going to play, right? We're idiots. We don't know that you don't play in the road. So Levi goes down the road and does his, you know, calling home, couple different things. Nothing, you know, nothing. And John's standing there, and he's got a flare. He's looking down the road, and he's like, what the hell is that? And he kept going, what the hell is that? What the hell? It was a turkey. But the way it was walking up the road at him, it was not, you know, it just was really weird looking, but it was a turkey. And so we're standing there, we're watching Levi. Levi's off doing stuff in the road. We're watching Levi. Levi had me, I had to put a set of headphones on listening. So then John, he's like, there is a signature on that tree down there. I said, well, what is he? He goes, I don't know. I can't tell what this is. So he finally starts to walk toward it. I think at this point, Levi has came back, and John's making his way down toward this tree. And he goes down there for a while, and he comes back, and he stands there, and he goes, I don't know that I can say this to everybody, but I can say it to you. Okay. What do we got, John? He goes,
what are you talking about? Spill the tea.
He goes, looks like a fucking fairy.
A what?
A fairy.
Okay.
I said, okay, describe that to me. What does that look like to you?
Yeah.
He said, it's on the tree and it has wings. and it's giving off a signature, but not a hot signature.
Okay. It wouldn't, would it?
And I'm like,
Okay.
really? He goes, I don't know what that is. He goes, I've never seen that before, right? And I'm like, okay. So at this point, we pull back. We're just sitting on the tailgates, right? And listening. And there's some coyotes, a little bit of this, a little bit. There's just nothing going on. Just nothing going on. So we go back to camp. And they're like, yeah, we may have had some stuff going on. What do you mean we may have had some stuff going on? Well, Richard and Drew had went and sat on the back porch of the cabin.
Okay.
Because it was completely black back there and it was right up against the tree line. Now, this is the cabin that they were pelting constantly, right? There's about a 6-foot porch on the back of it. So they're both sitting on either side of the porch. There's a door and they're, therming the woods, right? At one point, something got thrown at them so hard, it hit the door and it made them both jump out of their chairs. He said it came in like 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He goes, it did not drop from above. He said it whizzed between our heads and hit the door. And he said they about came out, they about came out of their seats, right?
Got chills.
Right? So yeah, that there was stuff still hitting the cabin, things like that going on. So that was what was going on. Couple of people had a couple other little things, some movement, some incidental things. So there was more action at camp, right? Okay. All right. That's all how you want to play. We'll play this game. So we got up Friday and we go out, do some daytime stuff, we come back in. Our plan was John had a hunting blind, right? So we took the hunting blind up the hill into where it's set just below the tree line. Now it's setting farther back than the cabin is, but you can still see it. It's a clear shot to that tree blind, to that blind, right? So I said, all right, let's do the exact same thing we did last night. Let's sit around the campfire for a little while, make our plan. Let's go leave for a little while. And then we're going to come back in here and then we're going to do other things. I said, that was the formula that worked last night. Let's try it again, right? Yeah. Okay. So we all decided to stay out an hour, maybe. By 8 o'clock, it was already dark. So we geared up. We're back in camp by 9:30, 10 o'clock, right? We had just gone up the road to the cemetery, which that was hysterical because we had Levi with us.
I can't wait to meet Levi.
Oh, it was hysterical because we're just sitting up there killing time, right? And, at this point, we're watching the sky, not the cemetery or anything else, because we got Levi with us and he's like, satellite. Don't know what that one is, I mean, it was just, yeah. And he's moving around. And at one point, John goes, what the hell is that? And it's Levi. And he's got like almost like a ghillie blanket over his head. And he's showing up in John's flare. And John's like, what the hell is that?
What is that?
Oh my God.
So anyhow, that was, yeah, I'm going to start recording those truck rides because you all would just not believe them. Just not believe these truck rides. So we go back into camp. And so me and Vicky and Julie all went back. We went to the hunting blind. The guys all stayed in camp and they positioned themselves so they could see us, right? Some of them were around the fire, but they all had a clear line of sight of the blind. So we all went and got in it, and we're sitting up there. We are laughing so hard. It's not funny. I mean, we're having a good old time. We're enjoying ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And we hadn't been up there any time. And Vicky goes, I hear footsteps. So I'm like, radio, I'm going, we've got company. Well, of course, they can't find anything. There's no signature. There's no flare. There's nothing, right? And we find out in being inside the hunting blind, trying to therm or flare out, it
Can't do
don't
it.
work.
Yeah, it
Don't
doesn't
work.
work.
So we're sitting in there blind because everything except one side, the side toward camp where the light was, you could see stuff, right? So I'm sitting there. The other two are on the dark side. They can't see anything, but we can hear things going on up there, right? And so it's like, okay, that's
Going on up where? Up
in the tree line.
in the tree line. Okay. So you're hearing stuff. You're just not seeing anything.
We're not seeing anything. And Levi Levi was the one who would come up every so often and check in with us. Now, Levi came up a couple of ways, but I always had a clear line of sight. And as he would be walking to me, I'd say, Levi, and he'd say, don't shoot me. And that was our little thing all night long, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to shoot you, Levi. I know I'm not going to shoot you. I promise, right? So we've been doing this all night. He's thrown a glow stick. We can see it. It's above the blind, up the hill just a little bit.
Okay.
So at one point, we're sitting there, and this odor comes along, right? It is very ammonia, almost cat-like. But let me tell you what, that'd have to be the biggest damn cat you ever saw, because it was overpowering within 30 seconds, right? And so I'm on the mic going, we got cat pee. I know those guys thought, what the hell are they doing up there?
We got cat pee. I love it.
Yeah, we got cat
I want
pee.
that on a t-shirt. That's your next merch.
We got cat pee. Yep. And then so Levi comes along about that time. He goes, oh God, what is that smell? And Dennis is like, in a few minutes, Dennis goes, he goes, did the cat pee smell go away? I said, yeah, it's dissipating. He goes, did Levi leave? I'm like, yeah. He goes, there you go.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it is. Poor Levi. But so Levi's gone. We're up there. The smell is now gone, right?
Uh-huh.
And we're discussing all this. And like I said, I'm the one that can see the camp. And so if I'm sitting there, the cabin was to our right, and to our left was the woods. Now, kind of out in front of us was a camper, but it was quite a ways away, right?
Okay.
So I'm sitting there where I can kind of see all that, and all of a sudden somebody walks out of the woods, right? And I'm like, what the hell's Levi doing? And he walks over to past the end of the blind, turns around. And as he's about halfway going back, I'm like, that's not Levi. And I said that. I said, that's not Levi. And the girls are, what? And I said, that's not Levi. And he goes back into the woods and it's gone. And I'm like, and about that time, here comes Levi back in the same way. I said, Levi, were you just up here? He's like, no, don't shoot me. I wasn't here. So one of those little shits walked out of the woods in between the blind and the camp.
To see what was going on.
Just to be, it's like one of those, watch what I can do.
Get a little better looky, see, and to just be like, I'm here.
And it wasn't real big. I mean, okay, so Levi is, I don't know that Levi is 6 feet tall. He's right there, right? Fairly lean build. This thing was a little bit bigger all the way around. It wasn't a big, bulky, stocky, anything like that. It was lean, but I'm going to say approximately 6.5 feet tall. Just strolled out till it got right past the blind, turns around and it's walking. It's not running. It's not drawing attention to itself. Nothing. It's just, the whole feeling I got was, hold my beer.
Right.
Hold my beer. Watch what I can do.
Right. Here's my hair. Hold my earrings. Hold my beer.
Hold my shoes. Here we go, girls. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm telling the girls that, and they're like, what? And I said, yeah.
And they didn't see.
No, because they were on the other side of me,
Okay.
and they were like, so Julie was facing the dark side and Vicky was facing the dark side uphill. I was the one that had the view basically of the camp where you could actually see something, right?
Sure.
And I'm telling them that, and they're like, what? You know, and so we're discussing that. And of course, did anybody at camp see that? No, nobody sees it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know, so we're discussing this, right? And I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm done. I got to go pee. Call the guys, tell them I'm coming out, you know. Yeah. So, you know, we're having this discussion, and apparently there was a couple of them that thought we needed to come back into camp. Not my husband, but somebody else's husband. So we come back in, and as we're getting out of the blind and maneuvering around, the smell comes back, and it's that very ammonia smell again.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, wonder if that is, you know how certain plants, when you walk through them, you bruise them, you break them, they give off an odor.
Yep.
I'm wondering if something wasn't moving through the brush and there was a plant up there that was doing that, because you would get a very pungent and then it was gone.
Okay. I got to ask a question.
Okay.
Trust me, I'm making
You're
notes.
making notes.
You know, I'm making notes but let's just take that detail. Let's take that one detail. I just got a couple questions. So in the blind, we're only females.
Only females.
Do you think it could be possible males marking territory around females?
So I asked the guys to therm after the first go round because it was so strong and so pungent. You know, that it was like, do we have a big cat up here? Because we were in bear and hog country, right?
Right. So yeah.
So my thought was, do we have a mountain lion?
Right.
Which, you know, and they were like, there were no heat signatures anywhere.
Interesting.
Not even a heat signature from P.
And no wild hogs around either.
Can you describe it? You told about 6.5 feet tall, kind of a leaner build, not a big, gigantic patty, like bulky 5-foot chest, but so leaner. What could you tell from the little light you had? Could you tell color?
It was just
long
dark
hair, shaggy hair?
It was dark.
Hair?
It was not. It did not look like it was long haired. It was very fluid in the way that it moved. It wasn't bouncing. It wasn't, you know, it just smoothly moved across there. It's very dark. And even though I've seen these things before, your brain goes, bloop, 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 you know, it's not computing. It takes you a little bit to go
to catch up.
Right.
Yep.
And so, you know, I watched it come out. It's all the way past the blind and started back before it dawns on me that's what it is.
Right.
You know, but it's at least 6.5 feet tall. It's dark. It looked like the hair was fairly uniform. You know, it wasn't long. It wasn't shaggy. I just want to say, I think it was a juvenile, you know, as a younger one.
Yeah, very curious.
The extremely curious, and that whole mentality of, oh, look what I can do. You know? Because it was the constant rock throwing. It wasn't ever aggressive. It was on the cabin, right? That kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, it was just, you know, one of those 30, 45 seconds. That's it. It's boom, done, gone. How many times they've been doing that all weekend and we didn't catch it?
Right.
Now, Levi did tell me that one night, and I think this was Friday night. So it rained on us, not lots, but it would rain for like an hour. And then we were like, come out, we're drowned in rats, right? Levi's poor tent just got soaked, and he was up there Friday night working on it. And at one point they whizzed a rock and it bounced off of the cabin over where he was at. And he was like, fuck this. And he goes, running to the front porch and takes all his stuff and he sleeps on the front porch that night, right? He said when he was sitting up that night that he could see at one point, because the cabin Richard was in had a front porch light, and we were on a screened in porch part of the time, and he said him sitting there in the cot just watching, and he said all of a sudden the light on Richard's porch was blocked out for a couple of seconds, and then it's back. So something moved between him and the light.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
All right.
exactly.
I mean, so you mentioned that this is a private campground.
This lady had no clue they had them.
So, okay. And she's never had anybody complain of make any
Or say, hey, by the way, did you know that we
weird
got
stuff,
Bigfoot here?
like I saw a fairy on a tree. I mean, like nobody ever.
Right.
No.
Interesting.
No. Now,
Really interesting.
right. And so, but she did tell me a story about how around that cabin, she was constantly having to pick up rocks because her husband mows there. She's like, where do these rocks keep coming from? Right. And she was talking about out in front there too, where, because there's like a big teardrop in the campground is how you make around. And she was talking about all the rocks out there. And she goes, I gather them all up. I take them over here and dump them. And I said, well, you've just created a game.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
And she looked at me, she goes, what do you mean? And I said, they throw them in and they watch you come pick them up and you dump them. And as soon as you leave, they throw them all back out there again and you pick them up. And, and she's like,
Like a toddler throwing stuff off a high
she's
chair.
yeah, she goes, I'm tired of that. I said, well, then you need to tell them you're tired of it. I said, you need to start talking to them. They're down here. But so when the guys were therming, now I don't know if this was Friday or this would have been Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. So there was a lady there from Texas, and she was running the flare, and then John, and they were pointed in different directions, right? And she sees a butterfly on the tree.
Who saw this?
Julia from Texas. Now, same thing, does not have a hot heat signature, but it shows up lighter, right? There is a signature and it gives that outline. John was pointed in the opposite direction and was getting the same thing on a different tree. The outline of the wings type deal, right? So,
and how big are we? How big?
Yes.
Like,
6 inches, 6 inches, something like that. 6 inches.
I mean, there's some big moths in the world.
There are, but I think they have a season and a time,
right?
So
I think that'd be spring, maybe. I mean,
well, just put that back in the back of your mind and hold on to it, okay? Because we're not done. We're not done.
Mental Rolodex.
Yeah, just put it away.
Okay.
So, Saturday, get up, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do the same kind of thing tonight. We're leaving. We're coming back in. We know the activities here in the camp, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna do whatever. So we've made our plan, and we're just messing around. We've been out in different places during the day, just looking just to see, right? But we've already made our minds up. We're going back to camp.
Yeah.
And so the lady that owns the camp, she knows what we're doing. Okay. She didn't initially in the beginning, but she knows what we're doing. Now, she has told me that they've lived there like 30 years. And in that 30 years time, she's heard 3 different sounds that she could not identify, essentially howls that come across. Her husband's an avid hunter and he cannot identify these either. Right.
Okay.
So they've had activity. They just didn't know what it was. Right. So she shows up Saturday afternoon with a local right? And he starts telling us things that have happened to him and his father when they were hunting, different things like that, right?
Yeah.
They get sticks thrown at them, they get rocks thrown at them, they hear shit. Well, these people are ATVers and they are out on these trails at midnight, 1 a.m. They pull over, they start fires, they eat, they drink beer, they run around all over the countryside, right?
Yep.
So they're talking about the things that they've seen. They've had some issues in the cemetery. The cemetery that we were in and we had nothing, right? I mean, we were all over the place up there. Nothing up there either. They've had issues in the cemetery. And it's like, okay. And then he looks at the wife and he goes, okay, tell her the really weird stuff. And the wife is like,
You're like, what?
yeah, I'm thinking. He goes, well, when we tell people this, they just look at us strange, right? And I said, yeah, you're with your people here. Tell me your weird shit. I want to hear it, right? So she goes, so we were in the ATV one night flying down this trail. Yeah. She goes, and something flew in front of us. I said, okay, what flew in front of you?
Define flew. Right.
It was flying.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, like fairy?
Ding, ding, ding. She says, it felt like it stopped, the ATV stopped, everything stopped. She goes, when it was right directly in front of us, she goes, it had a body and wings. It looked like it had clothing.
Okay.
And a face because it turned and looked at him, right? She goes, it looked like a fairy. I thought John was going to fall out of his chair because he heard her. He goes, oh my God.
Because I know John. John was like probably freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, the lady that had seen it also, she had left to go home, right? And we're just like, we looked at her and we said, 3 times this weekend. And they're like, no way. They're like, when we tell people this, they lose their minds and they think we're nuts. And I'm like, no, we've had 3 of these incidents this weekend, right?
Right.
They're like, oh my God, thank God somebody else has had this happen. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. Exactly. I'm like,
I'm wow. I don't even know what to say.
Well, it's that time of the year. The veil is thinning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, that blew us away. We were all just like, John and I are like, what? What? So yeah, very interesting stuff. We had a couple of speakers that came in a couple of days, really nice people, local, they shared things with us. It was really great. So, and there was some, a little bit other activity, hit and miss here at night. One of the girls they had camped behind the cabin. So it was kind of down and you couldn't see it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, so the guys were all around the fire one night and she was laying in the tent. She had a headache. She was just down there and she said, they got tickled. She comes on the radio and goes, who in the hell is down here screwing with me? This is not funny. She could hear somebody walking around her tent. And they're all like, we're all sitting up here. And she goes, okay, that's not funny. And they're like, no, we're not. We're really not messing with you.
We're all here.
Yeah. So at that point, her husband jumps up and goes back down there with her. Right. So, so yeah, there were things going on. Everybody had a little bit, Richard and Julia thought that they were catching maybe some eye shine back up the road. There was a large log up there that had a lot of overgrowth. There's a possible track that was involved in that, So yeah, there was that. So Saturday night rolls around. We're doing our thing. And same thing. We head out. Well, John had found this place. And my God, let me tell you what, it was as dark as it could be out there.
Wow.
It was one of those places you can't see your hand in front of your face, right?
Mm.
But we're all sitting on the tailgates of the truck, just laughing like fools out there, having a good time. We're just putting our time in because we know we're going back to the camp, right? So we go back to the camp. This time we all just stayed around the fire. And, we were like, don't put your therms up. Don't put your night vision up. just sit here, right?
Mhm.
They stopped throwing the damn rocks. I mean, like nothing practically at all. And finally, about 1 a.m, I'm like, I'm tired. I'm done.
Right.
So we had moved our cots onto the porch. My stepson was inside. Levi was going to stay inside. And Robert and I were going to stay on the porch, right? So you probably could put 8 cots on this porch. It's a big porch. And it's all screened in.
Nice.
This is perfect, right? So we get up there and I'm standing there looking at it going, I put my cot against the cabin,
Yeah.
away from
From the screen.
from the screen, because I'm like, if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's a face,
Our hand.
I don't want to wake the whole camp up, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking about this, when Robert comes along, he looks at it and at that point, his cot was right against the wall that the screen was on. So he pulls it away a little bit. I'm just kind of giggling at him. I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't want to lay. He goes,
Yeah, I
wanna
need
lay
room
right
to get around. That's
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
He needed room to get around.
Yeah. So, we're up there. Levi comes up. He says, hey, I'm going to go drive around for a little bit, right? He had a tire that had gone down a little bit. He was going to go air it up. He was going to go get reception to talk to the girlfriend, whatever. So, all right, don't get lost. Don't get in trouble. He's like, all right. So we all, we go to bed. Some of the people stayed out in the camp. I think the last gentleman said he went to bed at 2 a.m, right?
So he was the last person to bed.
Last person to bed.
Okay.
So 2:30, I wake up and I'm laying there and I got to pee. Okay. So you can't just go from the porch into the house. You have to leave the screened in porch, go onto the other porch that's just closed on the top, and then into the house. Okay. There is a door from the screened in porch that you can hear all over camp. Even if you're trying to get out it very quietly, there's no such thing, right? So I'm laying there thinking, oh my God, I got to go pee, but I'm going to wake people up,
Make your way up and do it.
right? And I'm trying to talk myself out of it, right? I'm really engrossed in this conversation in my head about having to not pee.
Even if you just rip the Band-Aid off and open the door real fast, it still makes a horrible.
Oh God, it's horrid. It's horrid. I mean, I think I could probably use a whole can of WD-40 on that door. So I'm laying here having this conversation in my head when it sounds like the end of the trailer exploded. I about jumped out of the cot and peed it at the same time. And I'm laying there. If you could have seen my eyes, like it exploded. I mean, it was the loudest thing. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not moving because I'm like, what the hell was that?
Now I don't have to pee.
Oh, no, I still had to pee, even worse. But anyway, I'm just laying there, not moving at this point because I'm thinking, that didn't wake Robert up. I'm just, my brain, right?
Right.
And then I hear there's rock all in front of this cabin because there's a driveway, right? Crunch, 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 crunch. It's walking through the gravel.
All right.
At that point, I see my husband reach down and grab his phone to see what time it is. He's awake. I'm good. He's awake.
Okay.
He's awake. I said, I gotta pee. He goes, of course you do. He doesn't have any room to talk, let me tell you. Okay. But what was funny about this, the whole time we've been there, I've not had to get up in the middle of the night and go pee. I had to get up in the middle of the night and go pee. So finally I'm like, okay, he's awake. I'm not going to wake him up and freak him out by opening the door. So I told him, I said, I'm going in, so out, in, go to the bathroom, come back out, get in the cot, right? And I'm laying there. And then there's movement right outside the screen. And there's breathing right outside the screen. Now, these screens are every bit of 6 feet off the ground.
Okay.
So it would be really hard for anybody to see in them.
Right. Unless
And
you're
there's
really tall.
so
Mm.
there's movement. Okay, there's movement. You can hear it. Robert says, "Is that you?" I said, "No, I am not moving." And so he lays there for a couple of minutes and he said, "I'm creeped out. I feel like there's somebody looking at me through the screen right behind," because he was facing me. I'm facing him.
He had his
To
back
his
to the screen.
He had his back to the screen, right?
Oh,
And he's like, "I'm creeped out. I have the cold chills." He's like, "I don't like this." Okay. So he lays there a couple more minutes and he jumps up and he pulls the cot closer to me.
Marianne saved me.
No, then he reaches out and drags the bag out and unzips it so that he can get to it.
his gun. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, get his pew thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Get my pew pew.
Oh,
My
yeah.
pew pew, right?
Yeah. Yes.
At this point, I'm like, my calm, cool, and collected husband is completely unnerved. This isn't funny anymore, right?
No, it's not because, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he says, "Where's Levi?" I said, "Levi's not come back yet." I said, "I don't have a signal. I can't text him. I don't know where he's at." Because he's thinking maybe he could, if he was just parked at the top of the hill, maybe he could just kind of creep into camp
Right.
and see if he could see anything, right? So we lay there from the time this started till Levi rolls back in. It's an hour of stuff, right? We've had some of what sounds like the 100-mile-an-hour fastballs hit the cabin, that kind of stuff.
Were you communicating with anybody else on the porch? Was anybody else awake?
It was just Robert and I on the
Okay.
porch. Nobody
Oh,
else was, nobody, it was just us, right?
Oh, got it.
So Levi comes back into camp and he's down there and he's messing in the truck. Well, I've got my arm up with my light and I'm doing like SOS trying to get his attention so I don't have to yell at him, right? And he's dinking around. And I'm like, what? So he finally gets out and I'm still just flashing the light like a frantic whatever, And he's still kind of, and I finally went, "Levi!" And he goes, "Oh shit." And he comes running to the house. And he gets up there and he goes, "What's going on?" So we start telling him and he goes, "That's the exact same crap they did to me." He goes, "I sat in my cot all night the other night." He goes, "with my pew pew across my chest."
So it was like they were like stalking almost.
They're like, "What are you doing out here?"
Right. Like, why are these people like what are they doing out here? Normally the people are in there.
Usually they go in that place.
In that thing.
Yeah. But they weren't messing with the people that were in the tent so much, right?
Isn't that interesting? Well, because they can't get a good look at them. You guys were like,
also went in somewhere.
it was like being at the zoo. The humans
we
in
were
the little screen thing, and they're like,
you know what the zoo animals feel like.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at
Yeah.
Look at this crazy
Look at the
person. She got
Their
a
habitat.
She got
Sleeping in the wild.
Yeah,
on a cliff.
exactly.
I'm gonna breathe harder now.
Right, exactly. Well, so
That's
Levi stands out there and talks. Oh my God. Stands out there and talks to us for a few minutes, right? He's like, "I'm going to go in the bedroom, this back bedroom." He said, "I'm going to open the blind and I'm going to watch out the window." Okay, Levi, you do that. So he's not in there 5 full minutes till he's back on the front porch. He goes, "That was not a good idea. That was not a good idea." I said, "Why is that not a good idea?" He goes, "I can hear them moving up against the building."
The building, yeah.
He goes, "I don't know. I just don't think," needless to say, he had shut the blinds, right? He had shut the blinds. He wasn't having any part of sitting there in the window watching anything at that point.
I would so be different. I would so be like, I would be like, okay. I am opening the window. I would be looking, for real, I would. I would be like.
Well, I was
Oh,
caught off guard by how startled it got me for a few minutes, because let me
Yeah.
tell you what, I had a major butt pucker for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
honest to God, it scared the living shit out of me for a few minutes. You
Yeah.
know, it's one thing when you're out there in the woods walking around and doing stuff, but when they come up on you and you're sleeping, that's a whole completely unnerving.
You're very vulnerable, right?
Yeah, right. I'm
Mhm.
not prepared, type of deal. And it's like you're waking up to that crap, type stuff. So
Mhm.
I did finally fall back asleep. I was really surprised at that. And
'Cause you had the adrenaline dump.
yeah, when it finally I was able to go back to
You
sleep,
yeah, you crashed.
crashed.
Yeah.
About 5:15 that morning, that damn coyote comes back into the camp screaming his ass off again, right? Well, he brought his
Mm.
buddies with him. They were all out there just carrying on. And as soon as they leave, pow, 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 three right quick, right on to the cabin.
Oh,
3 slaps
3 rock
three
throws.
or
rocks.
3 rock
They
throws.
weren't slapping at that point. They were throwing rocks at that
Okay.
point. I'm like, you little rat bastards. So I'm laying there. And by that point, I'm just sitting up in the cot, right? I'm on alert. I'm
Yeah.
watching, right? About 5:30, Richard comes out and he starts packing his truck. And I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. He's out here moving around at 5:30 in the morning. It's still dark at 5:30.
Yeah.
And he's messing around. Well, off in the distance, you hear a howl. I couldn't tell if it was the coyotes that had
Mhm.
just been in camp or something else. What's funny, Richard's head pops out of the back of the truck, the camp SUV, and he's looking around. I know he hears it, right?
Yeah.
And so he goes back to what he's doing. So finally, as it starts to lighten up, I'm up putting my clothes on. Robert said, what in the hell are you doing? I said, I'm getting my ass out of this cot. I've had enough. I
Right?
said, I
Yeah.
have had enough, right? So people are starting to get up because people got to go home. They got a long drive, right? I'm telling Richard what went on, and he's like, what? He's like, they didn't mess with me at all. Well, he didn't have any windows in his. It was just the window that was in there had air conditioning in it. So there wasn't anything to really mess with, right? So one of the other gentlemen, which we were laughing at one point because we're laying there and you hear this god awful noise. Robert said, what in the hell was that? And I said, that's Charles snoring. He goes, no, it's not. I said, yes, it is. About that time you hear,
Oh, that's hilarious.
it echoed through the whole camp, right? And he goes, oh, never mind. I said, yeah, that's Charles. Charles was just up from the cabin a little ways. So the guy that was camping next to Charles that morning, he comes up and he goes, last night was really odd. I said, okay, what do you mean? He goes, I'm laying there at one point. He goes, I'm awake. And he goes, I see shadows moving around my tent. And he goes, and then they move over and they're going around Charles's tent. Well, of course, if he sounds like that,
I'm wondering what
They're like,
that
what
noise
is going on in there? What's this all
Is that
about?
an animal we need to put out of its misery? What's
right, right,
Exactly,
exactly.
Jen.
And he said, then from Charles's tent, they moved straight over to the cabin.
Okay.
So he saw him move toward the cabin
So,
too.
yeah. So did you guys, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead.
did you guys find any the next day? Did you find any, was the substrate around the tents and the camp? Like it was it enough? Because you said it would rain a little every day. Was it moist enough to have some impressions, anything like that?
We looked around the cabin is really rocky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to see anything like that.
Gotcha.
We looked around the tents. Everybody would get out every day and look around their tents. The only thing that anybody found was up the road a little ways. And it was iffy at best.
Yeah.
There just wasn't anything. I mean, there were places where it would have been perfect for it, but there just wasn't anything like that. So Friday night when we were, or Saturday night when we were sitting up there, like I said, Levi threw it was a little tiny glow stick, like the ones you use when you're
Yes.
fishing, right?
Yeah.
He
The
threw
little
it up
ones. Yeah.
there. So we go back up there the next day because I'm just looking around when we had been in the blind, right?
Mhm.
To see if there was anything. We could not find that glow stick. We found every other glow stick he put out.
Interesting.
Couldn't find that one. So they could have used that blind as a block to get that because it was
Right.
gone the next day. Everything else around the camp, everywhere he had them, were still there. That was the only one that was missing. So
Interesting.
So the crash, let's talk a little about that
Yeah.
crash that you heard, that
The
loud crash. Was it
trailer
something
exploded.
did you think it was like something like another rock again come in and hit something, hit a camper, or
what we decided was, and I may have scared Levi when I did this, I didn't think about it. That morning, Robert and I are out there, and I reached up and just open-handed slapped the end of the cabin because it was to tell you the truth, it was a single wide mobile home that they've started to cover over, right?
Yeah.
So the front part of it looks like a cabin, but it's one of those older little mobile homes, right?
Yeah.
So you have that metal. And when I reached up there and slapped it open-handed, that was the sound. So they were
Okay.
coming up and slapping the cabin part of the time. Part of the time, they were tossing rocks on the roof. Other times, they were throwing them like a fastball at the cabin. So, it was a variation in things they were doing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the breathing. What
Yeah.
was that? Can you describe that?
It was just, I know a lot of people say it's like labored and huffy. This
Mhm.
was just breathing. You could hear the in and out, and it was like you're laying there going, is that breathing? So for us to hear that, it had to be literally standing right outside the screen
Yeah.
Right.
looking in, because otherwise there was some insect noise and things like that. So if it had been standing any farther out there, you wouldn't have heard it because it was not overtly loud. It wasn't
Mhm.
huffy. It was
Right.
just breathing,
And no ammonia smells.
no
Only
smells
when
at
you
all.
guys were in the blind, only females
Yep.
in the blind
Yep.
twice. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I think it was plants that they were walking through,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was only those 2 times, so I don't know. It was interesting to say the least. It was an
So
interesting weekend.
the position of the blind, I'm just trying to picture it in my mind. So it was kind of like you guys, it was like
Mhm.
the
Just
woods
like
were
that.
kind of on an incline, right?
Yes.
So the blind was sitting like here at the end, at
Yes.
the bottom of the incline.
Up it a little bit because
Like
that
up
whole
here.
side was a gradual hill that went up. And
Okay.
there was an open area kind of behind the cabin to a certain extent
Mhm.
and over to the side of it. And we stuck the blind. It was technically behind the cabin it was farther up in
Into
up toward the
the
tree line. We weren't
right.
in the tree line, but we were very close to the tree line.
Troy's asking, what is the blind made of?
It's just a hunting blind. It's like camo on the outside and mesh on the inside. And we set it up during the day, left it all day so they could see it. It was just there. So they knew that, we were going to be using that. It looked like one of the tents, but it was a blind. So yeah.
And was it still up the night that you guys were on the porch?
Yes, it was. John didn't take it down till he got ready to leave that morning. So,
Okay.
but they probably knew there wasn't anybody in there because I think they were watching all the time.
Oh, they
So,
had to have been.
yeah.
They had to have been.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Let's talk about a little bit more about the one that you saw come out.
Yep.
Did he when he as you saw him walking out, did he stop and look, or he just kind of like
He just
Was he-
casually came out of the woods, just
and then
like he was on a mission. Once he got past the blind, he turns and goes right back into the woods. No deviating, no nothing. Just I'm out
complete
to this
purpose?
point, back to that point. Yep.
So it wasn't like he was. So you didn't see him like, because you said it's very fluid movement,
Right.
very fluid. Did you hear the steps? Did you hear him walking?
No, I saw him. I did not hear him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How far away from
away.
you?
He
you
was
say?
probably 75 feet.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, he was pretty close because he had to be, because if he'd have been any farther down, he'd have been right there by a camper and a couple of tents. So he was in the exact spot where he wasn't that close to us, but he wasn't that close to anybody else. But he could move.
And again, behind that same cabin.
Yes. Yes.
So is Richard still a skeptic? I mean, Robert. Is Robert still a skeptic?
Well, he still hasn't seen it. He knows there's something there, but he hasn't seen it. But yeah, I told him, I said, that's not funny. When it unnerves you, that's when I start to get a little panic. Because he's Robert, he's calm, cool,
calm,
collected,
like
all the time, right?
all the time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was funny is his son's in the cabin, passed out. He didn't know anything ever happened. I mean, they're beating
Billy.
the hell out of the end of the cabin, and he never woke up. So
even.
that tells you right there, people are camping down there, sleeping in that cabin, and they never hear a thing.
Hear a thing.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Or even if they do, your mind explains these things away.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not. If you are just going like, hey, we're going on a holiday weekend, we're going to go stay in this cabin in the woods, and we're going to, and what your brain is not thinking, oh, I'm hearing something hit the roof or whatever. You're not thinking Bigfoot is throwing rocks at your
Well,
cabin.
and if you've been out there, you've seen that there's a few acorns, there's a few nuts, that because it took us half a day to realize, wait a minute, some of these sounds like they are being launched and they're hitting the side of that building at 100 miles an hour. Yeah. So I don't know what that is, It took us a little while for that to click.
Yeah.
And Dennis was the one that brought it to, he's like, wait a minute, this, and so as we started to process it and figure out, okay, the acorns don't make some of these sounds.
Yeah.
The hickory nuts don't make these sounds. The only thing that was making these sounds were the rocks hitting the roof, and then when the guys get the one thrown in between their head, and then we figured out the other sounds were the slapping on the ends of the cabin.
So did you guys see any, I'm just kind of going back and thinking different things. So Levi heard them kind of brushing up against the cabin.
That's how he explained it. Yeah.
Or how he described it.
Yeah.
Did you guys look to see if there was any hair or?
We were looking around. We didn't see anything like that. We did the same thing up at the cemetery that night. We walked the fences looking for hair, didn't find anything like that against the cabin, so yeah, no, it's, and the thing about it is there's a sink and the window faces out that back of that cabin, and it's like, I wonder how many times they've looked at people or they can see people in there.
And they couldn't see. Yeah.
And what was really funny was I got up to go to the bathroom at one point, and in the bathroom, so the old mobile homes used to have the long, narrow little windows, right?
Yeah.
So in the shower, in this bathroom, is one of those windows, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably, I don't know how high it was, but I got really tickled because I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, after Levi'd been in there, the shower curtain was closed. He didn't want
Wow.
anything looking at him.
Yep. I don't blame you. Might do the same thing. I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's 8 feet off the ground. Something's going to be looking at me.
I know. I was laughing. I got tickled. I thought, yep, Levi shut the shower curtain so nothing could look at him.
My mom had frosted plastic film on our bathroom window at our A-frame. And I would always have to be in the bathroom with the door shut, but it would still freak me out at night
Yep.
to be in there, because,
Mhm.
you couldn't really see me, but you could like see a
Yeah.
shape of me.
Yeah.
Still creep me out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly.
So I don't blame
Exactly. So I just thought that was funny. It made me giggle.
Well, this was this is really an amazing place, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Sounds
it
like
is.
you guys are going to have to go back with some new ways to try to capture something on
Yeah.
Yeah.
audio, video, something.
Well, there's a lot of audio from that weekend, so I haven't got to hear all of it yet. Dennis is doing a lot of it. Dennis had some things,
Shout
some
out to
interesting.
Dennis.
Yeah, right. Dennis is amazing. But one of the things, the snakes were thick. So when we go
Oh,
back, it's
well,
going to
yeah.
have to be either later in the year or early spring before they're moving,
Mhm.
because one girl got a video of a rattlesnake going across the road. Vicky about stepped on a copperhead. John jerked her back.
Oh,
Apparently, we have the audio from that whole thing. And
Oh
then
my word.
yeah. And then up the road of, like another 6 or 8 feet was a great big black snake going across the road. So there was a lot of snakes, right?
Snakes.
Yeah, snakes. And I'm like, okay.
No
So when we go back, it will either be later in the year or earlier in the
fall.
year. Yeah.
Early
So that-
fall. No bugs.
Well, and we get up there and
good.
find out it's the first day of archery season for bear. Who the hell
Yeah.
shoots a bear with a bow?
Somebody who's a very good shot.
Professional.
They better be a good shot. Let's just say
Right.
they must be a very good shot.
Yeah. I'm like, that
With a
that
really
takes
strong bow.
some
or arrow,
cojones
yeah.
to shoot a bear with a bow, right? But anyway,
Like right in the
So-
eye.
Wow. I'm my mind is still, I'm going to come up. I know I'm going to have way more questions for you when I see you next week. I'm going to be like, okay, I thought about something.
I thought about this, right?
I have another question and I have another question and I have another, like,
Yeah.
There's so much that's so amazing. That's what, I mean, cause that's what you were there for.
Yeah.
That's what you go there for. That's what the purpose. And then to have all of these things happening, and it's very similar to the conference, right? To not last year, but the year before,
Yeah.
where everybody in the camp kind of had a piece, they heard something or saw something, and everybody kind of looked and seen what time it was, and
Yeah.
everybody knew where everybody was, and we kind of, it got all pieced together. So it's really interesting. So I have one more question before we go tonight.
Okay.
How many do you think there really were? Do you think it was 1, 2, 3? How many do you think there were?
I got the distinct feeling that there was maybe 3 or 4 younger ones, not
Okay.
babies, but like that ornery teenage,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
because to me, it was never violent
Mm-hmm.
or agitated or anything like that.
Curious.
Just kids aggravating people, right?
Yep.
That's all it was. They were throwing rocks, and So this is one of the
Mhm.
things that Shane tells me. They're looking always for a reaction out of you, right? So if you give them that reaction of you scream, you yell, you run, it's done. They're like, okay, well, they're gone. I can't do anything else with them, right?
Right.
But if you don't leave, you don't
And
scream, you
yeah.
don't, then they're
Then
like,
wait.
wait a minute. And they do more.
Yes.
And we weren't leaving, we weren't screaming, we weren't reacting. So every night it amped up,
Yeah.
right? It amped up.
Trying
And
to get
so,
the reaction.
right. So now when we go back in there, we know what to be looking for. We know what's
Mhm.
going on,
Mhm.
you know. So,
And I know, and a lot of people, and you and I have talked about this numerous times. I'm the type that I lay there, and I'm just listening, watching. I'm just listening and letting it happen around me. I'm not
right.
the run, scream, whatever. I just let it happen because I feel like you learn a lot by letting them just do their thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't coming completely out into the middle of wherever. They were staying towards the sides and the backs of the cabin,
Yeah. Yeah.
coming up, trying to get a good look at you because you weren't moving, but they knew you were awake because they had to have heard you and Robert kind of whispering
Oh,
back
yeah.
and forth, talking
Yeah.
back and forth about needing to go to the restroom, that whole conversation. So they know you're awake, and they're like, but they're not moving. They're out
Yeah.
here, not in there. I mean, you know, I
Well, and I think that's
just
the whole
I think that it was that this is an amazing encounter and experience that is it's amazing.
Well, and I think that's the whole key for the weekend because Levi was out there one night. We were out
Mhm.
there one night, and both
Mhm.
nights they came in, they looked, they watched, they did whatever it was they did, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's the whole key because, like you said, they're used to people
Mhm.
going into their tents, going into the cabins,
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
into the RVs, right?
Yeah.
Going away. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, you know, that's not what was happening this time. So,
Yeah.
you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. We're going to go
Yeah.
back. So everybody just needs to stay tuned. It'll be a BFRO expedition. It might also be, there might be a private one we do. That's such a phenomenal place that we may just have to take a small group down there and, you know,
And people
go
can
back
reach
and see.
you for the next time you're, to get like a list of any
Yeah.
expeditions that you may do on a private thing or whatever. They can reach out to you on Facebook at the
Oh,
Ozark
yeah.
Mountain
Ozark
Bigfoot
Mountain Bigfoot
Conference
Conference.
Facebook page.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
Brian, thanks for joining us. Oh, yes. Don't forget, like, share, and
Yes.
subscribe. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Brian. I sent
Thank
him the
you.
link. I had, because you know me, I have not been on Facebook in, I don't even know, months, a year or more. I don't know. I just haven't been dealing with social media at all.
Right.
So I just
Well,
had realized today that I was like, oh my gosh. And Brian sent me like, I don't even know how many messages, and I didn't even know. I'm like, Brian, I'm
oops.
so sorry.
It's like, oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep. Exactly.
Brian is here. Hi, Brian. But thank you for sharing with us tonight.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've been wanting
been
to tell you
amazing.
all week, and I know,
Oh
you
gosh,
know,
we've been dying to hear it.
I know exactly. You know, I've been like, I've got to talk about this. I've got to talk about this. But yeah, so yeah, it's out there. One thing that I do want to talk about a little bit is Dennis wrote us this phenomenal song, and I sent pictures today. We're going to do a montage with the song with pictures from all the expeditions I've ever done. And that will be going up on our YouTube channel just as a standalone. You can listen to the song and watch the pictures and see all the people that have gone many places with us. You know, it's our ever growing tribe.
Yeah.
So, you know, we want to thank everybody for coming. Like I said, next week, guys, is the conference. If you haven't got your tickets, get them now. Come join us. We have more fun than we should. You know,
And there still are shows for you to watch. If you can't join us in Missouri
Yes.
next week, we still have this. There's still shows that are going to be
Yep. Shows
scheduled
are going to
for
be
y'all.
dropping. Shows are going to be dropping. So don't miss those.
These ladies are not missing a beat. Okay. They're not.
Nope. And
missing
we
a
actually probably are going to go live at the conference next week. So that'll be on Facebook. So be watching for it.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
All right, guys. You know what we say. Show me your Bigfoot. Bye.
Have a great night, everybody.